yes! And I was like, okay, cool.
Welcome to XY or Z. This is the podcast about cross-generational talk show where we talk about which generation is best. I'm your host, Nathan Kliem, representing Generation X. In the middle, we've got...
My name is Keon Gilroy. I am representing Generation Z.
Gen Z. And our guest today, we've got Tyson Kliem.
Yeah, I'm Tyson Kliem, brother of Nathan Kliem, and I'm representing the Millennial generation, or I guess I'm an older Millennial, so they consider us a Xennial.
Xennial? Is that what it's going with now?
Like, I've never been called Gen Y. I think that's what they called Millennials, was Gen Y. But Xennials are like anything between 1980 and 1984. I think they called them the crossover because we understand analog and digital, because halfway through our childhood, digital came into place. But
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was so much of an introduction. You're a musician, a realtor, former youth pastor, dad of two, representing the Millennials. All right.
The Millennials, that's right.
Keon.
On this episode, we will talk about action-adventure games and driving through the decades. Action-adventure... Oh my gosh, I can't speak. It's fine, it'll cut this part out. Action-adventure games, have they gotten any better over time, or have they lost their spirit and their freedom? Okay, let's get into it.
So, what brought you to bring up action-adventure games? Which game in particular did you have in mind?
One game that it's been really popular throughout all the years is Dungeons and Dragons. It started off as like a board game, but just the artistic evolution in it has evolved immensely, let alone like the actual game mechanics and the culture impact that has had on the game. This game has had a lot.
Is the game digital now, or is it still roleplay?
Well, it's come in many forms now, right? So you've got the old pen and paper is what we grew up with.
Nerds.
Yeah. And then, Keon, what do you know it as?
Well, there's now a game called Baldur's Gate 3, which is... It's based off of a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition rule set.
So it's in that universe.
Yeah, it's ripped straight out of the actual game. And that's a pretty good game. You can play it online with people and have like a really good storyline and face-to-face interactions. Well, not face-to-face, but on the screen.
Character to character. I think,
yes.
Isn't Oblivion like the next version of Baldur's Gate?
That's kind of like a Skyrim type thing. It's pretty good, but I think...
But it's spawned on a lot of
Baldur's
other
Gate
games,
is
right?
Closer, yeah.
Well... Tyson, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the old where you had to use your imagination, or do you game much on platforms like Xbox or PS5?
So I'm not like a huge. Well, I love video games, but I've never been a big adventure gamer. But if I did do gaming, it would be usually on a console. I know PC gaming is kind of the way to go. It's really taken off compared to what it used to be, but I love consoles. Like, I have 8 and 10-year-old kids, and so I bought them a Nintendo Switch to be like, hey guys, like, introduce you to gaming, and they're like, can we just have our tablet? And I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? So like, they barely pull out their Switch, and I'm like, this is like the epitome of gaming right here. But no, so I like the console style. But
Switch. Well, that was back in the days before. So you had the big consoles, and then they miniaturized it into the Switch. Before that, we just had LCD versions of games that was on like a hard screen.
Yeah, cartridge things are
not even cartridge. It was a clamshell that you would open up, LCD, like your old watch would be, and each pixel, well, not pixel, but each character would be its own image. So you were very limited in the freedom that you can do around.
Well, I remember that. Remember when you had that, what was it?
Donkey
Mario
Kong?
Cement Factory? It was
Mario Cement Factory. Yeah, that one too.
Yeah. And like it had to require the light from your light to shine through to the LCD screen.
The sunlight. You had to use sunlight to backlight it. It didn't have a backlight.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember all those. Those were good times.
Oh
The
man,
simplicity of it.
that would have been what, late
Early
'80s when that
80s.
came out? Early
No,
'80s?
early 80s. Early
Yeah,
80s.
that's just before Nintendo came out. The Nintendo original NES,
Oh wow.
8-bit graphics right there.
Dude, I remember the Super Nintendo. So I was probably like middle school when Super Nintendo was out,
Oh, and that
and
was a
we
big
had
step up.
well, and we even had to like get that plug-in adapter that would plug in so you can play multiplayer. And like only like there's only like 3 or 4 games like Bomberman. I just remember Bomberman allowed you to play 4 player. It was like one of the first 4 player games you can play out there. And my
Oh,
friends
right,
we'd
because you
play
could
that for
only have
hours.
2 controllers.
Yeah, there's only 2 inputs, and so then they built this extension thing where you plug it into the second player one, and then you have extra controllers you can plug into that thing.
That's
Oh
pretty
man.
cool.
Can you imagine doing something like that now, Keon? Like, me and everyone, their controllers are wireless now, are they?
Unless, like, if I want to play on my PC with a controller, I have to plug it in. But,
Hmm.
like, on a PS5, it's wireless. On an Xbox One, it's wireless. Like,
Can't you do Bluetooth controllers on your PC?
usually, but my Bluetooth is all weird, so.
Yeah. Well, I remember like even the gaming evolution where kind of more in my peak of it, where it's like all about having multiplayer on the same console. Where now the video games moved away from that, and now it's all individual console, but playing
First person view.
multiplayer games online. And part of
Yes.
that, because Halo was the classic where it's like you have your 4 buddies over and you're all playing, and then you can LAN and connect them all up together on LAN and have 16 players on playing Halo and like on one map. But now I don't even think there's a whole lot of multiplayer games on consoles because they want you to have your own console to buy the subscription to play online and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a big more. It's moved away from being a let's get together social event to a let's
Yeah,
generate as much money as we can event.
Yeah. Let's get together
100%.
online instead.
Yeah.
No
Well,
more seeing people in person.
what I find interesting too is going back to the old Dungeons and Dragons. There is now a YouTube channel out there. They've been running the same Dungeons and Dragons old school role playing quest. Critical Role, I believe, is the channel for the last 15 years. They've been doing it online and getting together. So that's
Wow.
dedication to do something like that, and it's all just in your um, imagination, storytelling. It's a whole new creative set that you don't really get to build or generate or work on in today's games.
How do
Did
you
you
not
guys
run out
know?
of content?
Well,
You
that's
know,
all your imagination, eh?
I have never played Dungeons and Dragons. I've never done any sort of kind of roleplay game like that ever. So this is like
Uh,
complete, like I don't even know how you do it or like how you not just like I don't even know what the ground rules are. So like you can't just have like one dungeon master who's just like annihilating everybody or just making up dumb rules unless that's a thing that happens.
well,
So
if you
have
have
to,
a
They
good
could.
if you have a good dungeon master, they should be able to kind of talk you through um, good prompts, and they give you a story, and then they provide you with the prompts, and then it's up to you to then inquire, to figure out, to problem solve. They don't teach problem solving in schools the way they should be doing.
no.
So to do it that way, and then if you're a good DM, you're able then to manipulate, change, maneuver the storyline to fit the way that the party's going, right?
Yeah.
There's been stories because our other brother Toby and I, we played Dungeons and Dragons with the group, and there are so many stories where we're all getting together. This is the plan. This is what before we go into the cave to battle the big boss guy at the end. We're going to get together. We're going to position, and we're going to prepare spells, and this is what we're going to do. And then our brother decides to screw it. I'm just going to chuck my hammer, and he rolls, and it's a 1, and it knocks me out, hits me in the back of the head, knocks me out. I was the big bad tank guy to go in there and battle stuff. And so I'm knocked out. We all get obliterated. So, oh, that was the one thing. So the whole party was just mad. We had finished the event, and then there was a cliff. So I pass a note to the DM, and I'm like, "Can I do this?" And he's like, "Oh, try it." So I'm like, "Hey, Toby, look over the edge and see what's down there. He looks over, and I go, and I kick the troll, and he goes falling all the way down. So, someone got the moniker "Stupid Troll" from that day.
This is bringing so much of my childhood into context now.
Oh, tell me
I'm
about
like,
it.
wow. This is why we call my brother the stupid troll. I never knew that story.
Yeah, one fateful party events, but like I mean, that's the whole point of getting together when you've got like friends. It's a little bit tougher to do that online. You don't get that communication, do you? You just get rage bait and people yelling and these voiceless characters. So,
or 12-year-olds who are talking to you like they're 18, or you get people swatting you. I don't know if you ever had that happen.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, the swats where people have often actually died or something like that. So it's kind of hard to pull those kind of moves if you're face to face with the other person.
It is so true. Like a 12-year-old would not go to a 19-year-old and call them the things he would call you. It's like, have you seen those videos of those like little like chihuahuas who are like at a gate with like a Rottweiler, and it's and then they open the gate and the dog like stops. It's like, like they close it, starts barking again. Yeah,
that is hilarious. Okay, well, that kind of wraps up this segment right now, but if you guys want to hang through, we'll just take a quick break, and then we'll listen to these messages from our sponsors.
This episode is sponsored by Moving Friends Forward, where your real estate journey feels like working with friends. With honest advice, local expertise, and your best interests first, they help you buy or sell with confidence. Learn more at movingfriendsforward.com.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We are now getting into our second topic today. My name is Nathan Kliem. I'm a Generation X host. Keon, sitting next to me.
I'm Keon. I'm Gen Z.
And our guest.
I'm Tyson, and I am a millennial, or Gen Y, or Xenial, whatever they call it.
You know what? Gen Y never took off, but millennials took off because basically graduated around the turn of the millennial.
Tell me why the Gen Y never took off. No, I think millennial just sounded cooler.
No, millennial sounded cooler, and there was that Y2K bug that was all the rage around there, and it's the new millennial, so that's what they wanted to tie it into.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so
we don't call boomers Gen W. Anyways.
Gen W. Boomers. Today's second topic, we're going to talk about driving. Then versus now. How has it changed? Who had better cars? Who has better cars? And do we worry too much about safety now? So, for instance, you have the muscle cars of the 70s. You had the fuel crisis in the 80s. You had the K cars and the introduction of the family cars and Omni or the Horizon.
Or the minivans.
And then the minivan came in the 80s, right? And then nowadays, jump forward to today, we've got the hybrids and we've got the electric vehicles. So Tyson, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the old style cars back then? Do you provide the new style now? Why?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of skill set and other stuff you learn with the older style cars. Like nowadays, it's like your cars have so many other mitigation factors. So they have like traction control. They have certain limiters and other stuff that you put on it. But it's meant to bring safe driving, which is great. But I learned growing up how to control your vehicle. So if your vehicle's starting to fishtail, how to get out of it, how to stop hydroplaning, how to do all those different things, how to shift gears so you know how it actually works. And so I prefer the older style with that. And I don't know, I think there's just a little bit more freedom that comes with it and things you can do. But
do you think that driving has made people more dumb now? Do you think they've taken the fun out of it? Keon, you recently got your driver's license. You tell us, what do you think about driving nowadays?
they're definitely. I think they need to tighten up on the learner's exam and the new driver exam, because I passed that exam with probably like minimal effort from me, but I don't know. There's a lot of people driving that shouldn't be driving. Let's just say that.
You gotta what? You gotta be able to cater to what the lowest common denominator.
Well, but should
Like,
you? Like,
no.
like the funny thing is so Nate, you had like your entrance to driving was probably pretty simple. You got your learners, and then a couple months later, you do your road test. And
You had 90
you're in.
days. You had 90 days
so
to practice, and
90
then
days.
you can get. No, you didn't get your end. You got your full drivers.
Sorry. So for me, when I remember they introduced a graduated drivers program the month before I turned 16, so
God.
I got screwed with that one. But it was like you had your learners, and I think you had to have it for 6 months, and then you take a road test, and then you'd have to have that for 18 months, and then you have to take another test to do that, and so it was like over stringent. With that, we're now. I heard they just got rid of the second test, so you still have to do your learners. You still have to do your road test. And I remember the road test was like an hour-long driving test. When I moved to California for 3 years, and I had to get a California license. And I remember I did my road test down there. It was 15 minutes, and the lady the whole time talked about how she never rode in a Volkswagen before. So
It's all drive around the corner, drive around the block, and that's good. You didn't crash.
Depends
You
on
get your
your
drivers.
instructor.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But then also the thing too is at least how I understood it is if you took driving lessons, usually you got a little bit of a easier pass when it came to doing your road test, and so it was almost like if you didn't take driving lessons, you'd almost be an instant fail, or they'll find a reason to fail you. At least that was kind of the conspiracy in my generation, and then and they're trying to incentivize you to take lessons, and so most people I knew who didn't take lessons would have to usually take their graduating test like a second time.
Keon, what was your test like?
Well, I did do lessons, so when I showed up, it was a pretty easy pass. It was like maybe 10 minutes of driving around. I pretty much drove around the block, and then he was like, "All right, you can park now," and then that was it.
Didn't you think you had like failed because it was so quick?
When I had parked the car to like go back into the building, I completely parked like diagonally, but he was like, "You pass," and I was like, "Okay, cool."
That's awesome.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Sorry, I have a question for Keon. Did they still have like the clipboard where they're like checking? And so while you're driving, like they're writing, and you're like, "Crap, what did I just fail on?" Or like, "What is it?" Like because they had demerits, right? And so you're only allowed to get a certain amount of demerits. And I'm like, "Crap!" And you're like trying to like count in your head, like every time they're writing, you're like, "How many demerits is that?" And like you're thinking, like, "Did I pass or fail at the end?" And that was almost
They
stressful.
gave me the paper, so I could have told you what I got, but I did have like one or two like small things where it was like, "Oh, you didn't." I don't even know.
Park straight in your parking
Did
stall.
did I?
Yeah, that it was just like really minimal like that. My driving was good though. I mean, I just went around the block, but yeah, it was good.
Did I ever tell you guys I failed my first driving test?
Nope.
No,
I was driving around. This would have been like the downtown Langley area, about 56 or 53rd Ave or something like that. Driving, everything's going great. No demerits, not much. Doing great. Coming up, driving up, and all of a sudden the light goes from green to yellow. So I'm like, oh, I can't. And so I goose it through the intersection. The driver's like, okay, yeah, just pull over and park here. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, so we're going back because you failed. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, you went through a red light, and that's an instant fail. I'm like, but it just turned yellow. But I figured if I would have had to like slam on the brakes. He's like, if you have to throw me through the front dash of this car in order to stop, then you stop. I'm like, well, I don't think it was red, but I guess we have to go back. So I had like less than 10 demerits, and I failed. I'm like, oh, I was on my way back. So, and then I had to retake. And of course, you got to wait, a couple of months or at least a month before you take it again. Then I was allowed, at that time, you're allowed to have 50 demerits. And the guy must have been in a bad mood because he was picking apart everything. And I was driving the exact same. He gave me 49 demerits. I'm like,
Whoa.
I had one more to pass. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
But
I failed my I did my first road test, I was fine, but then when I had to do my
Yeah.
graduate one to get my full on license, I failed the first one because I was taking a left, and when I accelerated, there's gravel in my left hand turn lane, and it caused the tire to go like that. You know how like it kind of spins a little bit,
squeal a little
and
bit, yeah.
well, and it didn't squeal. It just kind of did a like
Broke
just
loose
from
or
the gravel.
slipped, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, you lost control of your vehicle," and so he's like, "You fail," and I'm like, Oh my gosh, I was
Really?
ticked.
Really?
Yeah. I think that guys who worked at the DMV, and I'm sorry if any of your viewers or listeners are from there, but I feel like they're the people who were picked on in high school, and this is their chance to get back at the world.
Yeah, yes, viewers, tell us in the comments what your horror stories were like taking a tour and a test and your license, and what kind of things that were you sick? Were you nervous? Did you puke? Did you pass? Let us know. Put your answers down in the comments there. Keon, you want to also say safety. What kind of safety things have they introduced?
The main thing I think about when I'm thinking about safety features is how a car that's electric like a Tesla will stop to avoid a crash. Like for you, the car will stop. You don't have to stop. Well, you should, but stuff like that. And then in some of those hybrid electric cars, they show you your blind spot on the actual screen when you go to move into those lanes. You should still obviously shoulder check, but just seeing your blind spot, that's a pretty cool safety feature. Seat belts, airbags,
Headrests?
headrests,
Hey,
yes.
can you imagine getting rear-ended back in the 70s when the cars were made out of like a quarter ton of steel or 3 tons of steel, where there were no such things as
No
crumple
headrests.
zones? No, and the problem that a lot of people you don't hear about nowadays is something called eternal decapitation.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
you get hit so hard in the back and It's
Your
like-
neck breaks. Yeah.
neck breaks. Oh, and then the other thing too that came out around that time as well too, and I was mentioning this to Keon, is the invention of the collapsible steering column or the foldable steering wheel. Because if you were the person who would get into a head-on collision, what would happen is that the engine would ram. The car would ram into the front of the engine would ram into the steering column. The steering column would then fire out and launch into your chest and crush your chest. So, do you think we've come a long way? Do you think driving has made people stupider, or do you think it's just made driving safer?
Well, and
Yes.
think about too, yeah, that's true. That's both, but like even seatbelts didn't become mandatory until 1977 in BC. And like some of those things that I remember, like there's a very kind of like just chill, like around seatbelts, like and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
But
there were big blitzes and drives back in the late 80s to remind people to buckle up.
yeah,
Oh, no, that wasn't that like an option? You could have seatbelts,
I
but
think
you didn't
I think
have
it
to
was
buckle
there.
up?
I felt like it was optional until like the mid '80s. I feel
Oh,
like, but
man.
I don't know.
I
But,
can't imagine not driving with the seatbelt nowadays.
No. And well, the car sometimes won't even let you, or it'll ding at you so much that it'll just drive you nuts. But
Yeah.
to answer your question, have things gotten? What was the question? It was, have things gotten safer or drivers gotten dumber? And
Yeah.
Keon, I agree with you, man. Total yes. Like I think what it is they realize that they have to try and reach the lowest common denominator. So they have to make vehicles so idiot-proof that idiots can drive them. And so that's kind of the thing where they are. But then, guys, in 1 or 2 generations from now, like driving is probably going to become a little bit of like a special skill, that because cars might just be autonomous.
Yeah. Well, I hate to
think?
say it, but my a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, just for poops and giggles, I wanted to see if my car would drive me from my house to work hands free. It did. No intervention.
No.
Yes. It literally drove out of my driveway, down the road. There were a couple of like scary times where I was close. I'm like, don't. But yeah, the whole way there.
And you didn't have to touch the steering wheel at all,
Didn't
even through like
have to touch
construction
it.
zones and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's 90% of the way there, and now it's just a matter of more and more repetitions because now you're just getting into the edge cases that only the humans are really good at. So, in that sense, I agree. Like, I mean, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So, if you don't use your driving skills, then do you get dumber? Do you get more relaxed? Do you get more? I don't know.
Well, it's like writing, right? Printing and stuff like that. Like printing's gotten worse, or like
Handwriting?
Handwriting's a lost art. Calligraphy was kind of before that. Like all the sort of pieces now are totally lost arts, but because we don't need them anymore in today's society.
Keon, can you read handwriting cursive?
Yes, I can, but I can't write in it. I was like a part of the last generation that actually learned it in school, but then I hear the people a couple grades below me don't even know what cursive is, so.
Yeah. And the whole reason, in my understanding, why it was invented is so you didn't have to raise your pen off the paper, so you can write faster, for longer periods of time. Where printing was more like because you're lifting your pen so much and all this stuff, but yeah.
And it goes back to the old quill and ink, where you dipped your ink in. You didn't want to have to keep pulling it out because then you would drop the ink all over the place. So that's also quite interesting as well. But like, I mean, that's going back generations and generations. That's changed. Yeah. So, oh well,
that's
right.
We're
all doing this.
I remember, like, even in my elementary school, I think there was even some of our desks that still had the little hole in the top right corner for the ink.
That's
thing.
right.
Remember
I
those?
remember that. Yeah.
For the little jar, you have to dip it in. But we never used it. But that was like those desks.
It was still there. They're still using desks from the 70s and whatnot. That 60s, is too funny. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with our final segment.
At Abbotsford Sun Hangdo, every class has a step towards confidence, focus, and fitness. Kids gain respect and self-discipline. Adults build strength and resilience, all in a welcoming community. Start your journey today at sunhangdo.com/Abbotsford-Marshall-Arts and try a free class.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. The last segment of XYZ, the generational debate comedy talk show, whatever we want to call it. This little segment, it's something we used to call, or we like to call, is the kicker. We like to show you something from a generation, and then it's up to you guys to identify what we have and if it is something that you guys would be able to figure out. So let me share my screen. Today we're talking about the Walkman.
Yeah.
All right.
Giggity
So
do.
the first one we're talking about is this guy right here. The good old Sony Walkman that used to play a new invention at the time called a cassette tape. It had poor quality. It only had 2 channels of audio. You couldn't instantly queue up any songs. You had to sit through everything and listen to it as it went all the way through. What do you guys think?
Yeah, man, I remember those. I remember when those things would jam, and you'd have to pull it out and then like delicately grab a pen, or you'd have to grab a Bic pen because it was like hexagonal, and you'd have to stick it into.
So it would play the cassettes, and I think what you're referring to is this.
Yes, this right there,
where it would despool on you.
So that is where all the audios come from on the tape there. And then that's like, I don't know how it works. It's, I think magnetic or something like that. And
yeah,
so
magnetic strips.
And so you'd have to grab the one spool and like retighten everything back up so that way it all worked. But the only way to do it was through a pen.
Oh, a pencil. Pencil,
yeah.
Something that's got those multi-sided so you can put it in like that. There was 2 tracks, like a left and right track of audio, and then there's 2 sides. So what you could do is eject this cassette, flip it around, and play the other side, but it would be wherever that song would be, and you would pick it up. This one here, this was my favorite next iteration of the Walkman, where it had a built-in radio, so you didn't have to always listen to your cassette because they were only, 30 minutes aside? you listen to one side, flip it over, listen to the other side, and it brings you right back to the beginning. So,
Nate, do you remember when your batteries were dying and it would just play slower and
slower
like,
and slower,
and your song would just be in like and then you start hearing like demonic voices or like underlying messages in the songs.
Yeah. Those Walkmans were a step up. This was the original way that they used to play cassette tapes.
We used to have a couple of those.
This was the size of a bread toaster. Like, these things were not small at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, the good old Ghetto Blaster. Big Walkman in the middle.
That's right, with their radio. And you'd walk around those. You'd have to get the big D-cell batteries.
They would all go across the back. Yes.
And how long would that last for, Nate? Like when you're blasting music? Because you'd usually walk with that on your shoulder.
Well,
or whatever.
If you only use the radio, it would last for quite like 6 hours, 8 hours. You can probably get 12 hours if you're just doing the radio. If you're doing cassettes, now you got to run a physical motor, and that would really drain the batteries. So if you get like a 2 hour, 3 hour burn time out of the batteries, that was pretty good, man. Like, I mean, you're styling, you're happening, you're giving music to the masses, right?
Now the sound quality on those things was not nearly like your Bluetooth speakers. Like I have a little JBL one now, and the sound quality of that is probably infinitely better than what they were on those old.
Well, 80s. Since the invention of the MP3, you have such better quality. Yeah, and
it's true.
So much louder. It's so convenient.
Yeah, right? Most of the bass, the low end too. The speaker technology has gotten so much better. Thank you, Bose, for doing that. But yeah,
it's all about the bass, no treble.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, all right. What? Any thoughts about that? Have you ever seen a cassette player before?
I've seen a cassette player. I've never actually used a Walkman, though, or heard a Walkman in my ears. But I have heard and seen a VCR, and I feel like it would be similar to that.
Same technology.
Yep. Less glitches with the VCR. Yeah. Less glitches in a cassette. But
kind of the same tape. It would record slightly different on the tape, but it's the same tape. Right?
You'd still have to reverse it in order to play it back.
Yes. Please be kind. Rewind.
Yes. So that was like you'd go to Blockbuster, rent a VCR for to watch a movie, and then they would charge you if you did not return it rewound. Then they would charge you a rewinding fee for the next time you go to rent the thing. And so they actually have this little auxiliary kind of thing. It was like in the shape of a race car, and you can plunk the VCR in it, put it down, and it would rewind it really fast for you. So you didn't have to sit in your VCR, because if you sit in your VCR rewinding it, you'd have to sit there for probably 5 minutes rewinding this whole movie before you send it back. And
yeah. I remember Mom and Dad having to pay a lot of those fines there because we didn't rewind them and put them back.
Or we were late.
Oh, we were late fees, like $5 late fees, $5 rewind fees. That was it. I don't know why that business model ever decided to break down, but so.
But like Keon, you know the phrase mixtape.
Yes.
Like usually you got like a
Here's
lot of hip hop artists.
Listen
exactly.
to it.
Okay, so that came from cassette era. So that little recording device you saw there, the one that was the size of, Nate said, the size of a toaster, that you had the record. So what you do often is you would listen on the radio, and they would announce when your song was coming up. And so then you'd sit there and you put this thing right by your radio speaker, and then you'd push record right when the song starts, and then you'd stop it as the song ended, and then you try and cherry pick your favorite songs that were being played on the radio. Yeah, this one right here, and so you cherry pick, and then you'd build this. Yeah, and then you'd build this mixtape from the radio, and then that's what you play in your car, and that was basically your idea of a playlist. What we have now on Spotify, we just throw whatever songs you want in there, and it's good. But that's how you used to have to do it.
Okay. That's a lot more time consuming.
Oh yeah, because you had to sit around, and if the announcer came on early and stepped all over the music, then you were screwed. You'd have to wait for another time that song to come around and have a clean cut and a clean play.
Or the The worst is when you're like you kind of have an idea of how many songs a side would hold on a cassette, but then when you record one and then it would stop midway because you ran out of tape,
and then
so
it
you
would
only have
automatically
half a song.
rewind. Yes.
Yeah, and, like,
And then you had to. Yeah, you're like, no.
Or the classic too is like, well, this is more with VCRs, but because you usually used to be able to rewrite over VCR videos and record. So like I remember we were big into Star Trek when I was a little kid, and Toby always wanted to record the Star Wars episode or Star Trek episodes I was missing, and sometimes you want to make sure you don't like record over your old family videos, like, so you have to make sure everything's labeled and
the tabs are pulled.
Hard life, man.
There were ways where you could protect the tape so you didn't re-record. And you would snap a tab off the back, and then the machine would know, okay, this tape is good forever. But you could cheat that if you take a piece of tape, like
electrical tape,
electrical tape, or you take like the silver tape, the gaff tape, right, duct tape, put it over, and then you can rewind and re-record over the stuff. But then you're playing with fire because you could easily rewind or re-record over stuff. And there's been times where you set the VCR up to record on something, you get all excited, you record it, you come back to play, you realize that mom took it and recorded her program all over your stuff. You're like, no, I'll never get that back.
Yeah, no on demand.
All right, well, let's wrap up this little segment. Thanks to our guest, Tyson, for coming on out today. What do you got going on in your world today?
So yeah, my wife and I rerun a real estate team here in the Fraser Valley, and we're known for doing really funny videos and doing lots of content online. So feel free to follow me. Tyson Kliem is my handle, TysonKliem on Instagram, and we're part of the Moving Friends Forward group. If you do have any questions when it comes to moving or selling or buying real estate, then please reach out to me, and we'd love to help you any way, shape, or form.
If you would like to show your support or like this program, what we do, be sure to check out our website, xyz.xyz/support. You can go there and donate. And if you want to share something funny, you can also send your emails to xyz at xyz or xyz.com. Thanks. So, thanks to everyone for coming out. Thank you, Tyson. Thank you, Keon, for joining us. And we'll be sure to catch you guys in the next time.
Aye, aye, and goodbye.